Hey, house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother. I was gonna say Big Brother 15. What is going on? Welcome to today's Big Brother 22 updates and spoilers. Our house guests of the day are Jacqueline Imbriano, Carla Stuckey, Tori Johnson, and Hanley. Yay! Thank you all so much for the support and the mail. You guys are amazing. That was such a nice little surprise in our P.O. box. So thank you again so much. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below or send us some mail. Okay, so before we get going, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. It is Tuesday, September 22nd. I don't even know what day it is anymore. I want to thank all of our super chatters before we get going because you guys are amazing and you help us keep this going. So we've got Maricela Castellanos, we've got Mouth Dude Smooth, Jefferson Tucker, Dane Thomas, Adley Bruges, Richard Stevens, S. Dean, Rexum R's, Tori, Lisa Grimes, Richard Stevens, The Real VB. Real VB, I always see you on Twitter and I love it. Angela H, Julie Smith, M. Murray, COJ, Greg Landry, and Sheena123. Thank you all so much for the support. We really couldn't do it without you. And I see we've already got some super chatters today. Jody Cortez, Kathleen Marie, and Dasha Romero. Thank you all so much. You're amazing. All right. So let's talk about what's been going on in the house. When we left off yesterday, Tyler did not use the power of veto, which means that Davon and Kevin remain on the block. So Davon was like, I'm not even going to bother campaigning to Tyler, Cody, and Enzo because I know they all want me out. They're all going to vote together anyway. And she does not want to go out there and make herself vulnerable and campaign to these people and have them laugh about her behind her back. Because she's seen them do it to other people. She's like, nah, I'm not letting them do that to me. So she is saying she's going to talk a little bit to Christmas and David and see if she can get their votes, because if she can get them and then Danny and Nicole, that's 4. That's all you need. But I don't see Danny and Nicole doing that without the boys' permission. Also, there's no way she's going to get Christmas because Christmas is also die hard with the boys. She's not going to go against them. So yeah, it's not looking good for Davon, but maybe she can at least stir things up before she goes. Maybe it'll be a Kaser situation where she'll get something going or at least provide us with some entertainment. I don't know. So Memphis already told Kevin he should be fine this week. And in other news, Nicole's guilt is really eating away at her. Her guilt about that flipped vote, because Davon asked her again, are you sure that you voted for Ian to stay? Are you sure? And Nicole's like, yeah, totally. Okay, so she's freaking out about that. But anyway, I'm so tired, guys. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, so David and Kevin were chatting on the patio yesterday, and David says that veto situation was very telling. He's talking about when Davon and Kevin both got house guest choice and neither of them picked David. Davon picked Nicole and Kevin picked Danny. So that was a huge slap in the face to David. So yeah, we didn't see that on the show yet, obviously, but we'll be seeing that, and it's going to be So Kevin says, I already told you, I didn't think that I could beat you in competition, so I needed to pick somebody that I thought I would have a better chance of beating. So David says, okay, but the way that the choices went guaranteed that one of us 3 would definitely be leaving this week, because let's keep in mind here, if the veto was used and Davon or Kevin came down, David definitely would have been the replacement nominee. So it would have guaranteed that one of them would be leaving. So he says, if I was playing, there would have at least been a chance that all of us could stay. I mean, what are the chances that they would actually be able to get the votes? But I mean, at least there would be a chance, right? So he felt like he was kind of just that was what he did. I don't know. I think he means like he was kind of like cast aside and like they didn't want to pick him. So Kevin says, I asked you before the POV picks if you would use it, if you won. And, you know, your reaction was kind of like wishy-washy, which is true because I remember Kevin asked him, would you use it? And David was like, well, that would mean that somebody else would have to go up on the block. That is how it works. So he was not like, yes, I will use it on you or Davon. So I don't, you know, he wasn't totally certain about that. But anyway, Kevin says, I felt like I needed to take it into my own hands, pick somebody that I could beat. And then David says, or you just didn't trust me. That's right. But David says he was really upset when they didn't choose him. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. I thought they would have talked to him about it more before the picks, but it just didn't happen. So David says that Davon is trusting someone who flipped the vote. He's talking about Nicole. And he says, this is why we've had so many wall yellers this season, because people are like, what the F is going on here? That's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. So then Kevin and Davon chat in the comics bedroom, and Kevin is not really sure what he's going to say yet to people when he campaigns. He knows that everyone's just going to like yes them to death. Anything they say, people are going to be like, yeah, I'll keep you. I'm going to keep you. Sure. But then they might not necessarily actually do that. So Day is like, I don't feel like talking to anybody. You know, I don't feel like campaigning at this point. I think, you know, after things settle a bit, she'll put in a little bit of effort to maybe see if she could get some votes. But I think she's realizing at this point, like, the way that things have been going this season, there's been, like, almost no chance for a flip vote, and it's really sad. So Day says she talked to David because she wanted to let him know that she wasn't trying to say anything negative about him in her Power of Veto speech. Apparently, this POV speech rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I think Davon was like trying to call people out without naming names. And she was telling David, like, I was not trying to blow up your game. She says, I was just letting them, meaning that Big Alliance, know that I know that they tried to use David to take a shot at me. And that's not cool. Okay. So eventually they get around to talking about last week's vote. And Kevin's like, all right, I know that your intuition is better than mine. Is it though? Because y'all both been having a lot of bad reads this season. But anyway, he says we need to do a gut check right now. So he says last week, Danny was literally begging us not to vote out Tyler. And Day says, yeah, Danny was adamant about not wanting to break the tie because she would have to go against either Nicole or Cody. She'd have to choose between them because Nicole wanted Ian to stay and Cody wanted Tyler to stay. So she didn't want to have to be the one to make that choice, like in front of everyone too. So then Kevin's like, I think there's something deeper there. Yes, keep going. What do you have to say about that? So he says it was like Danny knew where the votes were going. And it was like she was genuinely trying to look out for us because she knew that we were about to get set up. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think Danny was trying to look out for you. I think Danny was trying to look out for herself. But yeah, Day says that she thinks that Danny would have told her verbatim if that was the case. And she would have said, like, don't do it. Don't vote for Ian to stay because you're being set up. And she says, you know, or at least Danny would have told Nicole that, and then Nicole would have told me. Stop trusting Nicole. She's screwed you over before. She'll do it again. So Day says Nicole is not going to F me twice. Here's the thing about this whole Nicole and Davon relationship. I feel like, sure, Nicole wouldn't like go out of her way to F over Davon if there were like a bunch of other people to go after her. You know what I mean? But like now that it's getting down to it and it's just like Nicole's alliance left basically and like 2 or 3 other people, yeah, she's gonna screw Day over. She doesn't freaking care because she's not playing this game for somebody else. You know what I mean? There's no way that Nicole is gonna like she's not going to ruin her own game for Da'Vonne. It's just not going to happen. And Da'Vonne is blind to this whole situation. She thinks that like there's no way that Nicole would possibly do that to her again. All right. So anyway, Memphis and Christmas have a game chat in the HOH room. And Christmas says, obviously, we know that Kevin has to go next. So she's talking about like after Da'Vonne this week. It's pretty much set with the big alliance that Da'Vonne is going to be leaving. So Memphis says, I mean, it might not be that easy to get rid of Kevin next, but yeah, it depends on who wins HOH. So Christmas says, well, I don't think that we should target David after we get rid of Kevin. So Christmas's boot order is Da'Vonne this week, then Kevin, and then Danny. Ooh! So this is exactly what Da'Vonne was warning Kevin and Danny about. She said, after I go, it's going to be Kevin, and then it's going to be Danny. They're going to keep David around to, after you guys. That's what's going on here. So Memphis asked, okay, well, who would be nominated next to Danny? And Christmas says, it depends on who wins HOH. We could put up Nicole or David next to Danny. And Christmas says, I think we should offer David a final 8 deal. So we could have him as a vote just in case we need him. We could have ourselves not go up on the block. If he wins HOH, we'd be protected. So Memphis is like, well, who do you think he would put up? And Christmas says, probably Kevin, right? What the F? In what world do you think that David is going to put up Kevin? Honestly, though, like, as much as I'm like, no freaking way, there's this, like, tiny little part of me that's like, this is 2020, and we have seen that, like, some crazy shit has been happening, so, like, you never freaking know. But, like, it sounds ridiculous. So then she was also saying, like, maybe he would put up Cody, which sounds, like, way more realistic. So then Christmas is like, wouldn't it be better if we could have a say in what David would do if he wins HOH? She's saying we should hedge our bets with him, and then we'll just, like, send him out at the final 8. So Christmas is like, what do we want David to do if he wins HOH? Memphis says, I guess we would want him to put up Kevin and Danny or Kevin and Nicole. Damn, the delusion. So Christmas says, I can leverage that. I can make that happen. So Memphis says, at this point, I don't feel comfortable telling David the names of like targets and who I want him to put up. I don't feel good about it because he could go and tell other people. And Christmas is like, I don't feel good about that either. But I can talk to David and go over Da'Vonne's power veto speech with him, shed some light on things. So she says, there's a way for me to position it so that he'll put 1 and 1 together real easily. So Christmas says, at this point, David needs a home. And she feels like they could be that home for him. And Memphis is like, yeah, my communication with David is improving, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're not like being passive aggressive or like aggressive with him anymore? Cool. So anyway, Memphis says, moving forward, like we just need to make sure that Enzo would not go up on the block because they have their like wise guys final 3 with him. And Memphis also says Cody's a friendly, like we should protect him too. We might as well keep him around, which is hilarious because we know that Memphis's other wise guys final 3 is with Enzo and Cody. So Memphis is trying to get himself to the final 4 with Christmas, Enzo, and Cody, his 2 final 3 alliances, because he thinks if that happens, he's like guaranteed to make it to the end. So anyway, Memphis says, you know what? I could see David putting up Kevin because now Kevin is like the block master. He's been up so many times already. So he's saying we could even pitch that to David and say, if you put Kevin up, he won't come after you because so many other people have nominated him. So then Christmas is like, all right, well, guess what? Like after the power veto ceremony, I went over to David and I said, welcome to your first call out because of Da'Vonne's speech. That just sounds so condescending. The way they talk to David because he was eliminated so early last season, they basically say like, this is your like rookie season or whatever. So that's fine. But like the way that they talk to him about it. So then Memphis says about Davon's speech, like she had a chance to stay, but she really buried herself with that speech. Let's be real. Like she did not. There's no way this vote is flipping. Come on. But Christmas thinks that David feels really betrayed by Davon because of this speech. I'm really curious what was actually said in this speech because I feel like we've heard other Davon speeches talked about before on the feeds, and people were like, what was she doing? Like, that was so long and drawn out and blah, blah, blah. But, like, it wasn't. So I'm really curious what her speech actually was. So then Memphis is like, all right, when you talk to David, make sure you keep feeding him all of the Danny, Nicole shit about, like, them working together as a girls' alliance. Why would David care about that? Why would he care? If Davon is leaving this week, why would that make him want to go after Danny and Nicole, who were working with her? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. But Memphis is saying, like, don't just, like, go in there and start promising him things. Like, feel him out first, see what he's thinking, and see if we need to even, like, make a deal with him. Okay. So then Christmas and David chat in the lounge. And Christmas is like, so how does your first roast feel? Again with this bullshit. Oh, my God. So David says, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. He says, I guess Davon feels like I was part of some conspiracy to get her out, which is interesting. So Christmas says, all right, I'm not here to entrap you. I'm sorry, but like, that sounds so sus. And that sounds crazy sus to be like, I'm not here to entrap you. But you have to think, like, look at what Christmas did to Bailey. Her, like, official reason for getting Bailey out was the whole Untouchables thing. So if I were David, I would be terrified to give Christmas, like, any sort of information right now when she could just, like, turn around and turn it into something that it's not. So Christmas says, like, I think there's some info here that can benefit both of us. So she says, I want to continue to extend an olive branch to you. And if we play this right, we can both be in the final 8. So Christmas says, you know, before we get going here with the info, like, we both need to keep our mouths shut about this information that we're about to exchange, or we're both going to become targets. So Christmas says, there is a double eviction coming up. I don't know how you feel, but I want to be top 8. I'm sorry, like, I had to listen to way too many Christmas conversations today, and it was just a lot, and I hated it. So Christmas is like, I want you to think about who Davon didn't call out during her POV speech. So David's like, who did she call out? And Christmas says, Cody, Memphis, me, and you. And again, like, I don't think Davon, from what I've heard, actually dropped people's names, but some of these people are just assuming that they were being called out during the meeting. So then David is like, okay, well, she didn't call out Danny, Nicole, and then Christmas cuts him off and she's like, it doesn't matter who else. You know, he said Danny and Nicole. That's what she wanted to hear. So she's like, that's it. That's it. So then Christmas is talking about, like, how pivotal double evictions are, blah, 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 blah. Again, it just came up a little bit, like, condescending. Like, we know you've lasted longer in the game than David has. We get it. So then Christmas asks David, do you know who you would put up if you win? And David takes a long time to answer. Eventually he says, Danny took a shot at me and her whole plan got messed up. So Christmas goes, mm-hmm. And then she says, I want you to also consider what happened this week. It just seems to me like the way she's presenting this, it's like she's trying to get him to target a specific person. It's not like she's just asking, like, who would you target? He's got to be seeing this, right? He's got to be sensing it. So Christmas says, Danny's plan to win the veto and save Davon backfired. She says, and she implies that Danny was hoping that by using the veto on Davon, that David would be going up as the replacement nominee, which is what Memphis's plan was. But Christmas says Memphis didn't want to do that. He didn't want you to go up on the block. What? That's a little bit ridiculous. So anyway, yeah. Christmas says this was a very revealing week for Danny, Davon, and Nicole. She keeps trying to bring up that girls' alliance and really like shove that down David's throat. So then Christmas makes David pinky swear on CrossFit that none of this information will be repeated. And so David was like, okay, I pinky swear. And Christmas was like, it has to be on CrossFit. Okay, sure. This was too much. So Christmas says, I think that Danny, Davon, and Nicole had a trio coming in, and it's getting squashed right now. So those girls are pissed. So Christmas says to David, you're safe with me. And David's like, same. So they talk a little bit about this week's vote. David says, I think that Memphis is leaning towards Davon going. Christmas agrees, and Christmas just keeps pushing. This week just shows so much about like who is working together and the girls. And the feeds were going in and out a lot during this conversation, but at one point they came back and Christmas said, I know that like Davon doesn't fully believe that you voted the same way as her this week. So Christmas says, I'm willing to set the flipped vote thing straight in my goodbye message to Davon. And she says, this does two things for you. It gets you a proper jury vote because you did what Davon asked you to do. And it exposes the person that set you up. I would be so pissed if I was David and Christmas was like dangling this in front of me. Like she knows what happened and she knew this whole time and she didn't say anything about it. And now she's like, oh, I'll do it in a goodbye message, which David can't confirm is actually going to happen or not. Plus, I feel like Christmas is pretty much revealing that she's working with Nicole and that she knew about the plan, right? It's just real, like, crazy. So Christmas says, like, if you repeat this, I'll deny everything. So then David brings up his suspicions about Nicole, his backgammon story about how he was, like, kicking her ass in backgammon. Nicole, like, gave him this tip, and it made him like almost lose the game. And he realized like she's been doing that to him in the game of Big Brother as well. So then Christmas is like, yeah, Nicole is trying to pull you in. She wants to be a voice in your ear and she wants you to be comfortable with her because she knows that you know that she didn't vote the way she said she did. So she's like straight up confirming right now to David that Nicole was the flip vote. So Christmas says, if you win one of the next two HOHs, I'd like to not be considered for the block. And in exchange, I will tell Davon about the flipped vote in my goodbye message. This is a shitty deal. I mean, obviously David can accept it and then like completely ignore it, but it would be hilarious if David went and like told Nicole and Danny about all of this, kind of just like pit the committee against each other, right? So Christmas says, I don't want to be the one to take a shot at Danny and Nicole because I've already taken out a girl and I don't want to be known as the girl who takes girls out. Just because you're not the actual HOH taking them out doesn't mean you weren't involved in it. You're pushing for it to happen right now. How is that any different? It's a little bit ridiculous. And I feel like this is just a cover for her, obviously, because the reason she doesn't want to take out Danny and Nicole is because she doesn't want to lose their jury votes. Those people are in her alliance. She's supposed to be working with them. So she wants somebody else like David to do it. So Christmas says, damn, Nicole must really be loyal to her team to have voted out Ian, who's supposed to be like her best friend in the house. Again, Christmas has basically revealed that she is on that same team. Like, why else would she know this information about Nicole flipping and trying to pin it on David? She's, I don't know what she's thinking right now. But Christmas says, I hope me giving you all this information shows you that I am down to ride. And David says, yeah, let's ride. Let's go. So I don't know. What do you guys think that David is going to do with this information? Is he just going to sit back on this? Is he going to tell Davon? Is he going to tell Nicole and Danny? I don't know, but it should be interesting. So a little later, Nicole and Christmas were chatting in the backyard. I just got to mention, like, the guys were being so loud and obnoxious last night. They were all like hanging out playing pool while this conversation was happening. They were like, bleh, bleh, and like doing all their accents and stuff. Bleh. It was a lot. Can you imagine what that house is going to be like if it's all guys in like the final whatever, like final 6 on? So Nicole asks Christmas, did David say who he's going after when you talk to him? And Christmas deflects. Oh, so she says David just doesn't understand why Davon would call him out like that in her POV speech. So she says, I feel like he's been trying to work with Day, but it's like just not working. And Nicole says, I feel so bad. She says, it's because of the vote. When I voted that way, I didn't think that Day and David were close. I thought she wanted him out. That's some bullshit, because that's the whole reason that Nicole put together this 5-3 vote plan, right? So that she could try and frame David and separate that group. But now she's trying to like walk it back and say like, I didn't know it was going to be like this. No. So Nicole says on the morning of the vote, on Thursday morning, Davon, David, and Kevin all came to her and said, look, we've got the votes to keep Ian. Let's do this. And Nicole's like, I couldn't tell them right then and there that I was voting Ian out. I couldn't just do that and like out the whole alliance. So she says, I feel bad, but it was a game move and it worked. And Christmas says, yeah, you know, it did what we needed it to do. And I would agree, like, it's a game move, but now you need to, like, own it and stop complaining about it. Like, even if she's not going to tell them the truth right now, just own up to what you did. Stop trying to freaking rewrite history. So Nicole says, now David is going around and telling everybody that she was the flipped vote. She was. And how does he know that it wasn't Kevin or Day? So she says if David puts her up, she's going to be so mad. Okay, you made this move specifically to screw David over. You can't expect, like, it seems like Nicole thinks that she's the only one that's allowed to play the game. Nicole and friends, they're the only ones that are allowed to play the game. If anybody else tries to play the game, it's messed up, it's not allowed, it's not cool. If you're going to make a game move, that's fine. But, like, you need to deal with the consequences. You screwed someone over, and if they win HOH, there's a chance that they might put you up on the block. That's just how it works. So Christmas is like, well, I don't know why David would pinpoint you, which is just funny because we just saw the conversation where Christmas threw Nicole under the bus to David, freaking sold her out. So Christmas says, we have such a great group. Like, you have so much protection. And David's odds of winning HOH are next to none. So, like, don't even worry about it. So then they discuss the double eviction, or they think it's going to be a double eviction, but apparently the double eviction is actually happening, like, next Thursday. But they don't know that. So they're talking about how they're going to put up whoever's left of, like, Kevin, Davon, and David if they win HOH. So boring. Just, like, so boring. So back to the flip vote, because there's more to discuss about that. Nicole says that Davon would never vote for her to win after she finds out that Nicole lied to her face like that about the vote. And Nicole says, I didn't think that covering or changing my vote would cause this much turmoil. She said, all I did was not vote the way that she thought I was voting. I did nothing more, nothing less. Again, you knew exactly what you were doing. You were not just flipping a vote. She set up a plan with Tyler. They came up with a plan specifically to frame David. Just own it, okay? It's just annoying how she's trying to rewrite history here. So, yeah, the most exciting thing that happened last night on the feeds, there was a fire in the kitchen. I believe it was David who was heating up some oil for fries, and it like boiled over, it got all over the stove, and it caught on fire. And then the feeds cut, but from the retells, it sounds like Cody did not know how to use the fire extinguisher, so Memphis had to freaking grab it out of his hands and put out the fire. I just got some major, like, season 20 flashbacks when Sam put out the fire in the oven. It was wild. But anyway, everybody's okay. So like, don't have to worry about that. That's good. And also David starting the fire makes me think of The Office when Ryan started the fire, the temp, right? So anyway, later, Davon pretty much kept to herself last night. She was like reading her Bible in bed. She would just like talk to whoever came into the comics bedroom. So Kevin came in to chat and they were talking about different double eviction scenarios. And Kevin asked what Davon would do if she's still here. And Day says, I would definitely be gunning for that HOH. And she says, I would immediately put up Cody and Tyler. Bye. Little Alaska reference in there. And Kevin says, I would put up Cody and Memphis. And if one of them wins the veto, put up Tyler. And at first, Davon's like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds really good. But then she was like, wait, what if Tyler wins the power of veto and saves Cody? And then they're both safe. So she's saying, like, that's why you got to put those two guys up together, make them fight for themselves. It's just like when, people put Bailey and Davon up on the block, or they put Kevin and Davon up on the block. Like, they would be fighting for the veto for themselves, not to save both of them. So, yeah, Kevin says, all right, if you do put up Cody and Tyler and one of them comes down with the veto, who do you put up as a pawn next to them? So Day says, after some thought, like, it would have to be Enzo. Nicole, Danny, or David would get voted out if they were up on the block. Yes. So Day says you got to keep putting up numbers from their alliance to ensure that one of them goes. So, yeah, Day is emphasizing you got to attack that triangle of Tyler, Enzo, and Cody. Okay. So then a little later, Tyler, Enzo, and Cody, that triangle, we're having a game chat in the photo bedroom. Cody is talking about getting rid of Davon this week. Duh. He's saying, like, we got to split up the girls. He keeps saying we're going to nip it in the butt. And then he asks, so who's next? Kevin? Are we going for Kevin after Davon? And Enzo says, I don't care what you guys do, but if I win in double, like, I'm shaking up the house. He says, I'm not scared. Listen, Enzo, we saw how your first HOH went. You're not scared? I don't believe it. So he's not telling them what he would do if he won HOH. He says, just like, follow my lead. If it's a double, I'm not going after Kevin. I'm assuming he would put up Nicole and Danny, but I don't know for sure. I'm sure whatever it was, it'd probably be pretty lame. So Cody says, okay, cool. I want us to really focus on reeling in David. And Tyler says, yeah, we can totally do that once Davon is gone. And Cody's like, I don't know, like, we got to be really careful because Kevin and David are actually, like, really close. So we need to make sure that, like, we're not saying things to David that are then going to get back to Kevin. Okay. So that was pretty much it for last night as far as, like, interesting stuff goes. Today, nothing exciting happening so far. Kevin talked to Memphis, and Memphis said, you should be fine this week. It was similar to their first conversation that they had the other day. And the feeds were down for, like, several hours today. I wasn't sure if it was, like, the BB neighbor thing or if it was just, like, a plumber coming in to fix the sinks in the bathroom, which I'm thinking it was a plumber, but I don't know. I'm still not convinced that the BB neighbor isn't Zingbot, but I'm a little bit confused by what Julie said because she said, like, we're going to see how it affects the game. Would she really just be talking about Zings? Because that's a pretty big letdown. And why would we see that on Thursday's episode and not Wednesday if it was Zingbot? Like, I don't know. But I'm just trying to, like, go off of what little information we have. So, yeah, I don't know exactly what was happening while the feeds were down, but I'm going to assume it was a plumbing thing. Right?
Bowie said, who clogged the toilet?
Oh, Bobby! So cute. He's scratching his neck, so he's like his stretchy face on. Like, it's very cute.
You can do a better stretchy face than that.
Nah. All right. So I want to thank all of you guys so much for watching. Hi. Lucy's here. And I want to thank all of our super chatters. You guys are amazing. So we have Jody Cortez, thank you so much. Kathleen Marie, thank you so much. Dasha Romero, thank you so much. Tool Tips with Tommy, thank you so much. Candela the Candle, thank you so much. That's a cool name. S. Dean, thank you so much. Treval K, thank you so much. Books and Quirks, thank you so much. Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much. Jefferson says, my bet, alcohol tonight. Nicole spills the beans today. You think so? I feel like she might wait until like the very last moment or even goodbye message because, and I'm leaning more towards goodbye message for the same reason why she didn't want to tell Ian beforehand. She's worried that Day is going to like scream things on her way out. That's like a big fear of Nicole. So I wouldn't be surprised if she waited, but somebody else could out her before that. So I don't know. Let me just get these last two. M. Murray COJ. Thank you so much. Oh! Bowie is ready for playtime.
Full
And
extension.
yes, Kathleen Marie again. Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet. And I want to also give shout outs to all of my fellow BB YouTubers. I thought TV Talks with Tom was in here. What's up to Tom? Check out his channel. We also love Jolene Lunzer. Big fans of hers, so check her out. I think she just put up a video about Christmas, which looks like a lot of fun. We got to check that out. Miranda, honestly, Honecker, amazing. Nerdtainment, Busy Blue, Metro D,
Finding Neverland.
Finding Neverland. Yep. I know I'm missing people. I'm always missing someone.
You should have a list.
I know. I really should just have a list that I go over. I know. Yeah, tonight I love Jolene's Tuesday nights because usually that's one of the ones that we can actually watch because there isn't like an episode on. Yeah, of course, rap. Of course. I don't know. I can't think. But if I didn't leave anybody out, it's not because I'm like, I don't like them. It's just because I'm tired and my brain is a little bit broken. Oh, Dan D, thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. You are amazing. Let's see what Dan said. Dan said, and Sarah D. Yes, Sarah D from Nerdtainment. Absolutely. I just want to say that your Nicole impressions are what drew us here years ago. Those who don't like them, lighten up. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Oh, yes.
I love them.
Thank you. Carter, Matt. Yes, Matt and Jess are incredible.
That's what you forgot.
Yes, they are.
How could you?
They are very, very sweet, and they do such great work. Amazing.
And he's actually been on reality TV.
Yeah, he was on Beauty and the Geek.
And Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, okay, yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
He's smart.
Yeah. So thank you all again so much for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Bowie said, much love.
Bowie. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Much love.